Hey, everyone. Joseph Nicholas here, and I'm going over some of my favorite racing games because, well, I love racing games. So what I'm going to do is go over 5 games that I really enjoy and talk about them a little bit and why you should buy them. Starting with one that's extremely quick, extremely simple, and comes with 18 cards. You already guessed it, Mint Julep. Mint Julep puts you in the audience of a horse race. With 18 cards, you will be betting on these horses, all 5 of them, by influencing their race by moving horses forward, backwards, and of course, placing your bets. Now, what's cool about this is when you place a bet and you start recognizing that maybe your horse just might not win, you could always change your bet. But changing your bet will actually decrease the amount of money you are making for that race. Now, it's cool because it's just so simple to teach, so simple to learn. Yeah, the rulebook has extreme flaws, but hey, if you already know the game, who reads a rulebook, right? A new one I got that I've actually extremely enjoyed since I got it is Dungeon Derby. Now, this puts your classic racing game into a fantasy mix of Greek racing mythology. It's not even mythology, I just said that. But what I like about it is the fact that it is so simple to play. You're either playing armor cards to help or hinder your specific racers. You're playing encounter cards on the board itself to trap characters or, maybe increase their speed or something like that. The payouts are awesome and the waging is great because it's made with, well, of course they're cardboard, but they look like betting chips. So you're betting on your racers to win while also being one of the characters in the game. It's so easy to play, and honestly, you can decide how long you want this game to be, whether you want a really long race or not. I've had this hit the table plenty of times now. But hey, settle down, settle down. I heard you already. You don't want the game to be too quick. You don't want a game that's really easy to play. You want something heavy and long, and there's so much to it. Well, good news. I got Formula D here, or Day. You know what? The D's silent. I'm calling it Formula from now on. So Formula is cool because as you're increasing your speed as a racer, you're actually able to switch gears, and every time you switch gears, you're getting a new dice to roll. Now, these characters come in nice little cars. Hopefully you can see that. It's not too blurry. There's a lot of things within the game. There's a lot of things inside the game that can hinder your, if you're racing too fast, or maybe you're not hitting a turn fast or slow enough. Maybe you haven't had enough turns to actually make that actual left or right you're trying to make. It does run pretty long. You can get a lot of racers in here if you're looking for a bigger game for player size. And it's a pretty straightforward game. Yes, the rulebook is pretty big, and there's 2 separate entities of this rulebook, whether you're playing a simple version or a hefty version. But that's just depending on who's playing and how much depth and heaviness you want to a game. But depth isn't really something you're looking for? Is that is that what I heard? Oh, you're playing with family and kids maybe? Have you ever heard of the Hare and the Tortoise? This is one of the most balanced games I've ever played as far as racing goes, because you're setting up your own board of these pieces, and racing these little figures here. Hopefully you can see that. Now, it's cool because how the race goes is everyone's playing down cards of all the different racers. Now, of course, and yes, you do have a specific racer you want to win, and then you get to choose which racer you want to win, so you have 2 chances of scoring a lot of points. But as you're playing down cards, once a certain allocated amount of cards, I believe it's 8, is played, or 4 of one character, the race begins. And they race in this order, and they score, and they move throughout the track based off this order. So the rabbit will always move about 2. The tortoise moves once every single turn, even if his card's not in play. The wolf moves 1, or if there's a lot of his cards playing, you -1 from how many cards are out, and there's some a special ability with him too, and so forth. All the characters are pretty balanced. They all move certain ways. I've had each character win multiple times for me to know that it's very balanced. It's extremely easy to teach and extremely easy to play. In fact, I play this with kids. I play this with grandparents. If there's a racing game that I want to introduce to people, this is definitely the first one I go to before I introduce them something heavier like Formula. And of course, the artwork is great. I mean, come on, it's so classic and zany, and we've all heard this story before with the tortoise and the hare. Last but not least, Camel Up. Now I know a lot of mixed feelings about Camel Up. Some people think it's pretty boring. Some people don't like it, some people love it, and some people think it's called Camel Cup. What you're doing is you're not even playing as a character. You're actually just betting on which camel's going to win legs and which camel's going to win the race entirety. Now you're taking these bets, or you're influencing the board, and you're scoring based off who's in first. Now it's great because they actually stack. So if the blue camel reaches the same spot as the green camel, and the green camel was in first, now it's the blue camel who's first because he's on top of the green. Now, this is a game that I've actually literally introduced to people who have never even played a board game in their life. I'm not talking classic board games, I'm talking hobby board games. It's super easy to get to the table. It's really fun. The like 3D pyramid that shuffles the dice and rolls them for you is pretty neat. And of course the theme's really cool. And of course the way that you could bet is actually really fun. So these are the 5 games that I recommend every racer out there, a race enthusiast, gets into, because it's a nice variety of theme, a nice variety of depth, and if it's easy to learn, hard to play, you want a lot of length, you want to influence tiles, or you want to play a game in 18 cards. They're all fun in their own ways, and it's really cool to see one style of game, racing, or if you want to call it a mechanic or not, done in so many different ways. Hopefully this has helped you find a good racing game to play.